Welcome to Screen Riot. This week's movie is The Power of the Dog, a romance from 2021. This episode will contain major spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, it's available to stream on Netflix. Go check it out and come back to the podcast because this is Screen Riot.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the show. This is Screen Riot, and if you're watching us on YouTube, make sure that you go down below and hit the like button and check out the description for all kinds of links to help support the podcast and all that good stuff. I want to jump right in away here. I'm one of your hosts, Justin, and alongside me are Eddie, Kyle, and John. And John's pick this week was, like you said at the beginning, The Power of the Dog, which is an Oscar-nominated film this year. It's rated R. It's 2 hours and 6 minutes. It was directed by Jane Campion, and get this, guys, it was nominated for 12 Oscars this year. Dang. So, yeah, John, if you don't mind, please give us a little lowdown of what The Power of the Dog is all about.
So, The Power of the Dog is based off of Tom Savage's 1967 book called, oddly enough, The Power of the Dog.
Wow.
And it's basically about a closeted gay cowboy who had basically hardens himself against everything. He has to be this monster, not monster, but he has to be this rough and tough guy in order to hide that and deal with his power of the dog, with his deep innermost feelings that he has no control over.
Okay,
it's a drastic departure from the normal Benedict Cumberbatch movies.
Cumberbatch is
yes,
actual
but we
name.
Definitely see Benedict Cumberbuns. I gotta say it. I had to. It's low hanging fruit.
Oh man.
Oh, they definitely were. So here's the thing. Let's go ahead and jump in on this pretty harshly.
Go ahead.
First off, the Oscars this year are obviously going to suck because if this is what they've got is not getting 12 nominations, so they're done. There's nothing else happening there. Is what's going on. The best gay cowboy movie apparently is still Brokeback Mountain because there was nothing in this that really, there was enough to allude to the idea that he was gay. Don't get me wrong. I'm definitely not denying that he was, but where's kind of like going beyond the stereotypical like closeted gay cowboy? I think they could do a lot more with it. And the fact that they didn't, I don't know. I think they left a lot of stuff on the table, a lot of cards left on the table. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like they didn't,
and especially like with movies made today, there's a lot of movies out there that push the envelope.
Yeah,
and it's like, well, maybe I guess I don't know. I've never read the book, but they might have stayed a little bit more true to the book instead of just overdoing it.
Well,
which, if that's the case, then that would be good.
They did and they didn't. They cut out the beginning of the book. Actually, I haven't read it. I've only read the synopsis between the two, the compare and contrast between the two. But apparently they left out a huge plot from the beginning where John Gordon, who is Rose's husband, who killed himself. Well, the reason that he killed himself is because he had an encounter with Phil, and Phil made fun of him like he does Peter in the film, which caused everybody else to, and the whole town to start doing it. And so that drove him to alcohol, that drove him to suicide.
Oh, dang.
And it's believed that Rose's hatred of Phil, she knows this, but Peter doesn't necessarily know it. Like, he knows Phil's a bad guy, but Rose actually knows this is why my husband killed himself, was this dude. Why she would then marry his brother, I don't know.
Yeah, if they would have left that in, it would have made for a little bit better of a movie, because every single time that I saw Rose encounter with or have an encounter with Phil, she just always was very pissy towards him. I'm like, what is this? I know that he came into your diner or your hotel and basically made fun of your son with the flowers, but I'm like, okay, well, it's just a guy, guys will be guys type thing, like she says. But for having that much hatred towards him, yeah, I could see, having the suicide of your husband being a good reason.
And it explains why too, that before Peter told Phil about his father committing suicide, Phil already knows that he committed suicide because he wrote that letter to his parents saying that his brother got mixed up with a suicide widow.
Right. Yeah,
So
yeah.
he already knows this. Well, how does he already know that? Because the whole
almost-
town knows it.
Oh, yeah,
Well, it's
okay.
almost like they filmed it and maybe it got cut.
Possibly.
It's possible.
You know what
yeah.
I mean? Yeah, because I mean,
mean,
for him to make that seems like a big oversight in a big hole in the plot for like why he would know it necessarily, unless they filmed it, so it made sense to have it in. And they filmed it and they went, oh, it adds too much action to this movie. I don't know. I think we need to cut it out, guys. You know what
I
mean?
kind of
Like,
wish they
it makes-
would.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that would have been in there because I think it would solidify Kirsten Dunst's character a little more. Because I honestly didn't have any kind of connection with her. Every time she was on screen, I was just kind of like, okay, you're turning to alcohol. Okay, everybody does that. You know, back then, kind of thing. You see tons of people using alcohol and all that. And like you were saying, Kyle, she's just always has this negative attitude towards Phil. And it makes sense now, hearing John's explanation about it, but you don't get any of that sense from the movie, from what I remember.
Right. No, and really you get the sense of her alcoholism stemming from the situation she's put in where her new husband, what's his name? Gordy? Whatever his name is. Fatso. Whatever his name is.
Brother George. Oh, yeah.
Georgie boy.
Georgie boy.
That he's pushing her into say, okay, I want you to play in front of these people. I want you to be this social butterfly because I like the finer things, and this is where I want my life to be, and you're going to be a part of that now. Because she doesn't start drinking until the whole piano episode.
I don't know what to play.
Why, play the one I like.
What one?
Why, the one about the gypsy?
I can't seem to remember that one.
Play anything.
Right.
Yeah, that was actually her first drink, I think, was George's poorly made drinks.
When again, had that part with the dead husband been left in, we could have seen the parallels between how he reacted, I should say, to Phil, and then would have seen that happening with her, which would have explained why Peter maybe would put two and two together and kind of be like, you know, I saw this once before with my dad and it didn't end well. What was the cause of it? I don't know. It might have been this douchebag who seems to be making fun of everybody in the town. Exactly. Why is he a douchebag? Oh, look at these porno mags with guys in it and girls. It was kind of interesting, by the way, because there were women in those magazines too. It wasn't just guys.
Yeah, right.
So at best, Phil's like, you know, at least bi. I think we need to say he's a bi cowboy, not.
Well, remember though, those were Bronco Henrys.
I'm just kidding. I'm just giving you a hard time.
Let's
be honest, man. We have a character named Bronco Henry as a.
Those are Bronco Henrys. Yeah.
See, I couldn't tell because I thought
I think it had his name on him.
It had his name written.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was like because we were talking about this earlier today. That's what I'm saying is like this is my second time watching it. I missed the initials on the scar on the handkerchief. I missed the Bronco Henry's name on the book. I missed a lot of that stuff.
Zoomed in on it to where you couldn't possibly miss it. But I hear you. I mean, if you did, you did. I just thought I
missed the hearts too, where his spurs were hanging.
Yeah.
The studs were actually in the shape of a heart of hearts, where the spurs were actually hanging on above the saddle.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I didn't know that. I didn't see that. No.
I knew something was up whenever he got the saddle though and started we're going to say oiling the leather, but in a very, very specific way.
Yeah, it was like Ghost with the pottery, you know?
Yes, it was. It was very much like at one point I touched the ass that sat in this saddle. It was a smooth ass.
Let me slap this leather saddle here.
It was, I don't know. I hate hating on this movie so much, but honestly, it was so fucking slow, and it the last 15 minutes it was okay. When the kid decided to kill Phil with anthrax, I was down.
Yeah, because at first
I'm like, fuck.
At first, when I was watching it, I'm like, okay, so he's riding up to this cow that's dead. He
Mhm.
already knows, he's in the medical field, and he already knows from Phil that some of the cattle die from anthrax. Well,
Yeah.
then he's obviously knowing that this cow has died from anthrax. So
Yep.
why are you cutting off its hide? And that was like a total mystery until the very end when he was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
don't worry, Phil. I have a hide that we can finish the rope and all that kind of stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Well, this is kind of turning for a darker story." And it's like this is when I actually kind of got interested in it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But
I can handle the kid pulling the hide and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was okay, even being kind of like mysterious in the middle of the film. I could deal with that. I just wish it wasn't so many shots of mountains without dialogue. So many shots of like Benedict Cumberbatch trying to be a badass. He's just not.
I mean, you can't
he's
really
just not.
think of him as a badass with those giant, chaps
Those
with
chaps.
the buffalo chaps.
Cartoony buffalo
He looked so
chaps, yeah.
weird walking, like it's like a profile shot of him walking around. It looked like a cartoon cowboy, like, ooh, look at me.
Well, he's British. I mean, this is what he was told that cowboys were like.
This is how
He was told.
cowboys react, or how
What's
Yes,
funny
and
is he's a British guy filming a western that's set in Montana and New Zealand. So I mean, anything
Yeah.
can happen.
Yeah, right.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, all this
At
stuff
one
is
point,
New
a
Zealand. It's
kangaroo
never
jumps
Montana.
Yeah.
You remember when we had
Crikey.
wild kangaroo in Montana?
Yeah. They brought him over after they slaughtered the buffalo just to give people
Exactly.
something to look at,
The kangaroo gangs were horrible. I don't know. We watched Lamb, and Lamb was fucking slow. It was so just slow and pointless in times. This is something like similar. I mean, I like the slow burn genre to an extent, but they're just taking this shit too far. Like they expect people to wait 2 hours or right at 2 hours, hour and 55 minutes for anything to really happen. It's just fuck me. I don't have that
Yeah.
much attention span. I mean, at some point, I'm like, I'm even fairly intelligent and I can hang with you, but this is just shit. Like it's got to move a little bit more. I need more than
Yeah.
just some creepy white kid pulling dirty magazines out of a hole. I need more than that. Sorry.
It
Yeah,
was
there's some
Norman
shots
Bates.
in.
Norman Bates right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm telling
I mean-
you, it was uncanny.
there's some shots in there that definitely I'm still trying to rack my head around. Like, okay, what does that mean? Why include that? And like one that just always jumps out of my head is when they go to the cowboy convention camp. I don't know what to call it.
Yeah.
You know the scene I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
And-
I
Yeah,
think
it
that's
was
what it's
was
called. That's
weird
the
because
official
it's like
name.
what is this? I don't understand. It's like it reminded me of like pioneer days. Where you'd go to like where regular city folk would go to look at, oh, here's what the pioneers do, except for they're living. It is
Yeah.
what it is. It's like, what are you doing?
It's
I
like
don't
right down the road from the house, that they stay at. But
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like
they
was it like
also
the
they
flea
also
market or something.
well they also had a bunch of other cowboys coming there. I'm wondering if it was kind of like a rodeo, but you never really got to see why they were there. It was just there. And what was weird was like you had the shot of somebody coming out, and you see all the ranchers without shirts on, messing around with blankets or something like that, and they're all singing and happy and stuff. And then you cut to like just tents lined up in rows, like a fair, like a festival of some sorts. They have a
Yeah.
That nobody
blacksmith,
ever
and you got
visits.
a roper, and it's like, well, what is this?
Yeah, but the shot that I'm talking about is when Peter jumps off of the wagon and they do this
Yes.
this trucking shot, this long one take trucking shot of him walking through the camp, and understand why they did that, because you hear all the cowboys, yelling slurs at him and stuff, right? And it
Whistling
shows,
at 'em.
yeah, and they show that this kid, it's nothing to him, right? He just wipes it, he cold shoulders it, right?
Yeah.
So I understand that character development part, but then it keeps trucking, and he walks past everybody, and he looks at two birds up in a tree, and then he looks at the ground, and then he pauses, and he turns around, and then they show him walk the entire way back. It's like a 15-second long shot. And
Yeah, it was a very weirdly placed shot. Like, why put that in there?
yeah, like I understand the first half with the whole, like I said, showing off his character. We delve a little bit more into this, how this kid acts, but I don't know. Like I started wondering, like, is this kid also like on the autism spectrum of some kind at some points? You know, I didn't know if he was just, or I guess he's just socially awkward because of.
Well, Phil
whatever.
called him half cooked.
I
in his
thought
letter.
that was a way of saying he's gay, you know, or he's not right in the
Oh,
head.
no,
back
I
then.
took that as like you're born too quote unquote too early, like you don't have you're not fully developed
Yeah.
Yeah.
type of thing. That's how I took it.
Mhm.
Well, then,
Yeah,
but
it
he's
could be.
becoming a doctor, so he's obviously not that
Yeah,
fucked
He's
up.
He's
smart.
not dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's smart enough. So I don't know. I think what's weird about this movie is that it's listed as a romance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Well, it's a drama
romance
western.
Yeah.
Drama, romance, western. I don't see the romance like anywhere.
Yeah.
The only
piece
place
of
that I
romance,
can see it.
yeah,
Go ahead.
is Kirsten and
Shit.
Budget
Plemons.
Matt Damon.
Even that, I don't even see it
That's-
between
that's
Budget
the
Matt
only
Damon and
glimpse of
Kirsten
it.
Dunst. No, but
It's
see, I
allured.
think-
It's allured. It's allured to. How do you say
Alluded.
it? Alluded. Thank
Alluded.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Alluded,
It's,
allured.
It's allured to. Yeah. Oh yeah. Isn't there? Is
That's
there
like-
Buckaroo John?
It's allured to.
That's like how Phil pronounced piano.
Yeah, Panano.
Banano. But
What
I mean,
was
you
that,
look
Bronco
at,
John?
Yeah, but you look at the love, I guess, that Phil has for Bronco Henry.
That's
'Cause
the only
Bronco
romance.
Henry dies in 1904,
Yeah.
and
something like that.
and this movie set in 1925.
Yep.
So, I
21
mean-
years before.
Yeah, 21. Yeah, 21 years. He's like still in love with this guy.
So that's the only
So-
place that I can find romance. What's weird about that though is like typically, to me anyway, I don't think of romances with dead people being romances per se. Like even Titanic, right? Like you start like the old woman's talking about the romance she had with Jack while he was alive on the fucking Titanic. Not so. I mean, he was the love of her life and all that stuff. But they don't. She's not like, oh, if he was here now, I'd bang that ghost. Like that's not the way it goes.
Hold
Bronco
on.
Henry, it
The Ghost
appears,
of Mrs.
did it?
Muir.
Oh yeah.
Okay, The Ghost of Mrs. Muir, another bad movie. Way to bring that up, Justin. Thank you for pointing that out. I appreciate
It was
that.
a very good movie, I would say. It was a more romance than this one, I'll tell you that.
Okay,
That is
I
true.
agree with you.
Yes.
I agree with you. It was more romance than this. I mean,
Yeah.
Benedict Cumberbatch had more romance with his hand than I saw between Kirsten Dunst and Georgie.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, I just wonder why or how this movie could possibly be called a romance when it just doesn't seem to really delve into it. Now, that being said, I don't know how old Peter's supposed to be. I don't know what age he's supposed to be. I think
I mean,
feel
I would
Going to
say he's
college,
like college,
so
yeah.
17, 18.
Okay, so let's say he's 18. I feel like, they could have gone down the route, and it would have been cliche, and we would have all seen it coming, but the route of like Phil taking him under his wing, quote unquote, and then taking him under his wing, if you know what I mean. That at least
Which,
would
yeah.
have given us a romance.
I thought that's what they were doing, but very
So did I.
subtly.
Yeah. But
Yeah, but apparently
they were doing that kind of, but like John was saying, in a very subtle way.
Because there was
See-
there was a lot of parallels. It's like I met Bronco Henry when I was your age.
Mhm.
Yep.
I did, all this stuff. He's like, okay, I took it as Phil was doing, grooming.
Yeah,
I
he
guess
was
you were
grooming him. Yeah.
He was grooming the way he was groomed.
You know what?
know what?
Does that turn Phil
Go
into
ahead.
a tragic character then? Like, was he?
I'm gonna
Yeah,
I'm gonna take it a
he's
step
definitely a
further.
tortured soul.
Well, I'm gonna take it a step further. This movie's technically a hate crime.
Oh,
Think
kinda
about it.
isn't it?
Peter
Well, no.
found out he was
I think
gay.
it's more of a revenge film.
Well, yeah, I agree with you, but it's a hate crime. Peter found out he was gay and used his gay tendencies against him to get close to him to then be able to essentially, kill him using anthrax. That's a fucking hate crime.
Allegedly.
You know what I want to know about the whole anthrax thing? I want
Sure.
to know. Okay, if there was a lot of coincidences that had to happen for it to play out the way it did. Phil
That's
had
most
to cut
movies,
his
though.
hand. Phil
Yeah.
had, but I mean,
I mean, Back to the Future, Marty had to accidentally get stuck in the car going 88 miles an hour to go back in time. It was the terrorists showed up at the right time.
what I want to know is I want to know. Okay, he cut this hide midway through the film.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, had his mom not given the hides away, had he not cut his hand, what was his plan for this stuff?
Well, I think if
I
you
just think he
actually
saw the
just touch
opportunity.
it, I think if you actually touch it, like without any cuts, it
Yeah.
would have infected you. But since
Yeah.
he did have a wound, it actually acted way quicker.
Oh, okay,
And,
because it
and
got into
Peter
your blood.
knows and Peter knows that Phil never wears gloves because remember
Right,
he's doing the whole
right.
castration scene
True.
without gloves,
Yeah.
and the guy made the comment. So Peter knew if he just slipped the hide in
And yeah,
to the
at the
other hides.
at the very end of the movie, you could actually
Gotcha.
see Pete hold the rope, but with gloves on.
That's
Yep.
true. Okay.
So he's going to keep this as a memento of his murder.
Yeah, he's a fucking serial killer.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
this
he
is
really is.
he's a hate crime serial killer is what this
But
guy is.
Well,
He's
remember
like
a lot of
Andy's
serial
great
killers.
grandfather.
Yeah, I'm about to say a lot of real life serial killers. They started off young, like torturing animals. Remember, like
Yeah.
at the beginning of the movie, he captured this
But
rabbit
that
and
was
killed it.
that was for science.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what the John Wayne Gacy claimed to.
Exactly. I want to become
That's
a
true.
surgeon one day.
Yeah.
That's what my skin lamp's all about. It's like
It's all about
Jesus.
the experimentation. Hmm.
Yeah,
Skin lotion on the skin.
I just find it interesting that this movie is not listed as like. I mean, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't say it's thrilling, but it's kind of like what was that Kevin Costner movie? Talented was it Talented Mr. Ripley? That was Matt Damon, wasn't it? But it wasn't Kevin Costner.
Matt Damon.
Anyway, the movies like that are real like slow, but you find out the person's a serial killer or they're a spy and they've killed a bunch of people, etc., etc. It's kind of like that. It's interesting that they even put it in. I mean, to be honest, the Western part's a backdrop. I mean,
it
these
is.
are all cowboys,
Yeah.
but there's no elements of really it being a Western, quote unquote,
Yeah.
in this.
It's just the
It's
time
really
and
weird.
the place, and since it's a cattle ranch, it's a Western now.
It's fucking weird. I don't know. That's just a weird designation for this.
Well, I mean, it's again, it's based on. I mean, I'm not trying to defend it, but I mean, it's
Yeah.
based on a book. So I mean, to go
Yeah.
far away from the book, I mean, you replace the horses with motorcycles, and anthrax with
Snapping
know,
the
and-
West
and
Side
a-
Story.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, you could change a bunch of stuff and it'd be the same story,
Yeah.
but not a Western.
Which West Side Story is also nominated.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say West Side Story is also a Western.
No.
Like, no, it's not.
Western.
It's as close to being a Western as this is. I mean, Jesus, even the accents are the same.
It's like they didn't even have any
chewing
guns.
cattle over here.
You know what? There are no
Hey,
guns
yo,
in this.
anthrax. There wasn't any guns in it, was there?
Yeah, I was actually wondering. Like, I didn't see anybody
No.
carrying.
Like nobody
any-
was carrying like just cowboy pistols. Nobody was carrying rifles.
No, this was
Nobody wants to Alec Baldwin.
1925. Was this? Did that kind of like become passe, like in the West in the early 20s?
Oh, I wouldn't think so. I mean, you would still carry like a pistol and a rifle just in case of like coyotes or any
Yeah.
type of other wildlife that would try to harm you.
Or if you got to
on
put
these
down a
long
cow
runs.
because it's dying.
Right. Yeah, you got
I
to
mean,
shoot it.
Jesus. Even Curly and City Slickers in 1992
That's
fucking
true.
carried a pistol on his hip just to put down cows because she was suffering. She was dying.
Right.
Anyway, God, this
Um,
movie's.
I'm
Go
really curious on why this is actually nominated for so many things.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I
I
mean-
guess I don't know. It's that there's not a whole lot that was actually nominated. I mean, I'm seeing kind of the same thing. It's Dune, it's West Side Story, it's The Power of the Dog, it's Nightmare Alley, Licorice Pizza. Like those are the things that are making the news.
I'll tell
But
you
that's
that
pretty much-
of
pretty much
the nominated film of the Best Picture nominees that I've seen, I've watched several now. I would go Belfast all the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would have figured that would be one of the top ones. I mean, I wouldn't figure Dune would be on there, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess what did Mad Max Fury Road win Best Picture?
I don't remember.
Or did it like win a lot and then just lose Best Picture or something? I don't know. But
Well,
anyway.
what do you guys think about the acting? Basically, because I'm sitting here looking at all the nominations. It's a lot of it is by performance. So like like best performance by an actor in a supporting role was Peter. Best performance in a supporting role was Jesse Plemons. Actor in a leading role, Benedict Cumberbatch. Actress in a supporting role, Kirsten Dunst. I mean, basically all the acting roles are.
I think anybody could have played Jesse Plemons.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's
He-
probably on screen for what, a total of 15 minutes.
And
The
he doesn't
only-
really do
only one-
anything.
The only one I agree with is Cumberbatch. That's it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't find him too terribly bad in this, and this is his
Just
second
because it's
character.
outside of his it's outside of his norm.
Well,
You know,
I was gonna.
it's not his typical character that he plays. So that's the reason that I would put him above all the others.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is, this is now the second time he's played a closeted gay character.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Remember the
On
first one
Imitation
was
Game, right?
Imitation Game.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I thought we were talking about Star Trek Into Darkness. Sorry. Go ahead. I was like, yeah, yo, you mean Khan? Yeah, that makes sense, actually.
No, but I'm saying, do a hat trick, do one more, and then you're gonna be typecasted. So,
Well, and
True.
he got some flack for playing a gay character in Power of the Dog, in the Power of the Dog.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they were giving him flack, and he's defended it. He's like, look, I'm an actor.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
It's like
what I do.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
used to
thought it
do
was,
that.
I thought it was okay. He was probably the most powerful performance of everything. And I think the weakest person was probably Kirsten Dunst. to
I
me.
agree.
Yeah,
I
Christian
just
was
didn't get
not
the
that
character
great.
at all. Like, if they would have included the part of the book that you were talking about, John, it would have made a little more sense to me of her character, and it probably would have made the stakes a little bit higher with the whole interaction between the kid and Cumberbatch, Phil's character. But
You
since I
would've
wasn't
cared
there,
about
I
it
had no
more.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You would have cared about her more, about her. Like, okay, this guy has ruined her life,
Exactly.
and now for whatever ungodly reason, she marries the guy's brother,
Right?
and now she's tormented by the guy every single day.
Maybe
And
she
now
didn't
her
realize.
son is getting in with the guy, so she had to have known.
No. Maybe I was gonna say maybe she didn't realize that he was actually going to be living there at the house. Maybe that she thought that he was just
But
you
you would
know,
think that's a
going to live
question.
off in the ranch or somewhere else.
You would think that's a
Yeah.
question one would ask.
Yeah.
But,
Does your
oh,
brother live with you?
yeah, dude. Where's Phil in this
Yeah.
whole?
So-
I mean, does he live in the barn? Because he looks like he lives in the barn. Does he live in the barn?
Yeah, right.
real quick though, you guys keep saying Jesse Plemons. Is that
Budget Matt
Matt
Damon.
Damon? Okay,
Yeah.
That's his real
Um,
name.
he
Josh
was my
Boy.
he was my least favorite character because I don't think he
Yeah.
did anything. He didn't
Yeah.
add anything to the movie. He didn't have any reactions.
You're right.
Like
Right.
literally, Phil comes in and says some Benedict Cumberbatch's like, I'm gonna act right in your face. I'm gonna get really pissed off, Fatso. And he goes, okay, Phil.
Why are you so mad?
Okay. Well, I apologize that the hides are gone. Like, fuck me. There's no acting there.
I
It's
mean,
just
she
blank face.
didn't know the hides were going to be, are not supposed to be so old.
If they were just gonna be burned, brother, what's the problem? I mean, at least Kirsten
Read the
Dunst
script,
pretended to be upset and then drank
true.
herself into a stupor. I mean, I don't know. I don't like her acting either. I'm with you, but Jesus Christ, that
That's
guy
why I
didn't do
said
shit.
that Jesse Plemons could have been acted by anybody.
I agree. No, I think pretty much everybody but Benedict Cumberbatch could be replaced, and nobody would notice the difference. Like, had
Yeah.
you just suddenly brought in another character for Kirsten Dunst, I don't think you would have noticed.
I think the only thing that-
pale kid
that-
was so fucking creepy. That's the only one that I really would have been like, wait, is he out of the movie now? Is he in my house? That's
And
the
then-
only one.
You said the pale kid. That reminded me. There was that scene where Peter and Phil are having that heart to heart under the tree,
Oh, yeah,
out
yeah.
in their little excursion. And and Phil says something like, "Hey, you're getting that cowboy tan or whatever."
Got a tan. That's a cowboy tan you got.
The dude's whiter than I am. He's like a vampire.
Yeah, they've kept
It's like,
him
I
under
don't
a tent
see
the
any
whole
tan
time.
marks.
out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He walks from the house to the barney. It's a tan.
it's ridiculous. I don't know. The biggest. I mean, I like the last 15 minutes. Once you figure out that this kid's gonna kill Phil, I'm like, okay, it's not bad. But then again, I'm kind of dropping back. I almost shouldn't admit that because again, it's a fucking hate crime. That's what he basically did. He used his gayness against him to kill him. That's fucked up. That's some fucked up shit. The guy was
I guess if you
closeted
look at it
gay and
that
was
way, yeah.
so angry about it that he tortured everyone around him, and Peter used that against him. That's mean. That's just mean shit, man.
I did like all of the hints that they were, the little hints that they were going to say about how he was going to kill him throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about the cowboy excursion scene. The one thing I do like about that scene is Phil and Peter's interaction, their conversation that they have while Phil is making that rope.
Yep.
They do a lot of those close-ups of him, basically pulling the rope, and you see his hand, basically slide across the rope, and it's like, okay, well, that's gonna be something.
Yeah, it's like, is it gonna be like bondage or something? Like, what's gonna go on?
Yeah, they kept showing that like 2 or 3
That
times.
escalated quickly.
No, I'm serious. Like, like the everything stretching, and like he's like, I gotta show this kid how strong I am with rope. I don't know.
We might, wait,
50 Shades
it's just
of-
coming in now. Kyle watched the European version, guys. Sorry, it was
No, I
it was
watched
slightly
the
different.
Eddie director's cut.
You know what? You're right. In the director's cut, Peter would have been tortured by his decision. He would have wanted to kill Phil because Phil was torturing his mom, and maybe he knew in the back of his head that he killed his dad. So but he actually started to like Phil and possibly even fall in love with Phil, but decided to follow through with the murder anyway.
That would have made a better movie.
Yeah, that's how I would have
agree.
done that.
Yeah.
So because I wouldn't have had him smiling at the end about his mom and George being happy. Now it's obvious that they're going to be happier because Phil's out of the picture. But
Sure.
with him smiling at the end, I'm like, this kid's a fucking psychopath. Like
Yeah.
he is a legit psychopath who just committed a hate crime. Just saying, put it out there.
A murder.
Had he been tortured by it a little bit more, I think it would have been a better movie. Just saying.
He didn't even go to the funeral. He was like, yeah, I'm not going.
Yeah.
Nope.
Yeah.
I mean, Phil
What
was a
did,
dick, but Jesus.
What was the symbolism, I guess, between
The symbology.
Phil,
The
what's the
symbology?
symbology there? Between Phil's mom giving Rose
Oh, yeah.
the handful of jewelry,
Jewelry? Yeah.
at the
No
funeral.
idea.
So she couldn't leave the jewelry in the house because she was afraid Phil would take it. Phil was torturing everybody in his life. Everybody in his life, he tortured. He ripped apart. She never even came around. We don't see her till the end of the movie because she doesn't go near that house.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah,
that was
they
her
always-
saying, "Welcome
But they
to
always
the family."
hate George. They hate
sorry?
George. The parents do.
Well, they don't like George because he stayed with Phil.
Oh. Is
Phil,
that-
he
is
was
that
giving.
why?
He was listening to Phil. He was what's the word? Not listening to. He was almost like dealing with Phil or allowing Phil to be Phil, and everybody else is like, "No, fuck him. He's an
He's
asshole.
complacent.
I'm not gonna-"
Yeah.
Yeah, complacent. But there's another word. Enabling. He was enabling. Phil
Yeah,
to
he
be
was
Phil.
enabling
okay.
Phil. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we enable some scores here? How's that
like
for
it.
a segue?
Wow.
John, since this is
Pretty
your
good.
movie, why don't you go first?
Well, that's a tough one.
Well,
I'm
we,
gonna-
we score movies from 0 to 10.
Okay, 0 to 10. That's right. All right. No, I mean, there's parts of this movie that I like.
Hmm.
I like I do like the cinematography in it, as long as it's not this huge long shot that means nothing.
Hmm.
I do like that. I actually like the score. I think we touched on I don't know if we touched on the score or not, but I actually did like the score, even though it was a bit repetitive.
Mhm.
I like, like we've said, the last 15 to 25 minutes of the film. I did like that, but the rest of it just went on and on and on and on. I think it could have been tightened up a lot, and it would have ended up being a better movie. I can definitely see why it is nominated for so many Oscars. But I am going to not give this an Oscar winner score. I'm going to give it a 6.
Okay, and even 6 for John. And I think I'm after John, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I kind of agree with John. Like, there's some elements of the movie I like, but as a whole, it's an kind of movie for me. We all seem to be in agreement that it was kind of a really slow burn.
Mhm.
Now that I hear about the whole backstory with Phil and Kristen Dunst's
Rose,
husband, Rose's
Mhm.
husband, I feel like we're missing out on a better movie.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
So that drops it down for me now, actually. So we're talking about the music a little bit. I don't really remember too much about the music except for like the first 20 or so minutes, and it had that same motif playing. Like the only thing I think of is called Phil's theme, and it's just that kind of clunky, like doo 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 doo.
As he's walking with his
whatever, yeah, while he's
giant
walking
chaps.
around, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
doo doo doo. I don't know how else to describe it. Yes.
Hello,
Exactly.
everybody. My name is Phil.
Yeah,
And all I can see is him walking in those chaps.
Cartoon idea.
yeah.
God. Wow.
It's an
I-
eerie score for me at the end. It's kind of eerie and
Yeah.
off key, which is what endeared me to it towards the end. I was like, okay, this is off key, but I kind of like it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, very odd.
I like the setting. It's it's a beautiful area that they shot and all that too. But and like when they were talking about the mountain, it's like, oh, is he the dog in there? And I paused it and I'm like, I don't see no fucking dog. What
No.
are you
And then
talking-
Phil's
You guys
character's
didn't
like,
see it?
"You just
No.
saw that? You just saw that right now."
Okay, so Justin didn't see it. Kyle, did you see it?
I didn't see it.
Eddie, did you see the dog in the mountain?
By that point, I was so numb to the whole fucking movie. I didn't care if there was a dog, a cat, a fucking goat. It didn't matter to me. Or a lamb. Just point that out. I didn't care anymore. I was
It's a
just like,
mountain.
yeah, this
Move on.
Well,
fucking
that's
movie
fine.
needs to end. That's all I could think.
Well, John,
I saw it.
you'll have to show us the dog next time we see
Okay.
each other.
It-
So
it- yeah, I will. I'll
That
show
sounds
you.
dirty too, by the way. Everything you say just sounds dirty, Justin. You got to show us the dog, John. Yeah, come
Yeah.
on, Bronco. John.
Well,
Where's
That's
the-
the
Woof.
power of it all.
I'm calling you Bronco John from now on.
I think
I've been called worse.
I think I'm gonna give this a 5 because I feel like this is just kind of like an average movie. It could have been better, but it also could have been worse.
Hmm.
Basically,
It
Okay.
could have been worse.
Okay, so I'm gonna make this very, very quick. So I agree with John about the music a little bit. I did like some of the music, but overall the music was very, very repetitive, which obviously knocks it out for the most part for me. The cinematography, yeah, it was nice. It was pretty. It was whatever. But if I realized 10 years ago I could just film fucking mountains and submit it to the Oscars and make money, I would have done that. But the fact that people are making whole movies out of just filming landscape now is boring as shit. I do think that I wanted to see more conflict with Peter. It's a fucking serial killer movie. This isn't a romance. It's not a Western. It's a movie about a budding serial killer. The year of Power of the Dog 2, he just kills everyone in the fucking movie. Like everyone in the movie dies because he's now a serial killer. It's what happens. It just doesn't make sense to call it anything else.
maybe it's like Son of Sam. Remember how that serial killer? He said the dog made him do it.
Yeah, the
Yep.
bunny made him do it in this movie. The rabbit he killed came back, talked in his ear, and he killed Phil because of it. And
Nice.
again, the fact that a hate crime movie has any chance of winning in the Oscars is disgusting, and I think that we all stand up against it. However, if Hollywood wants to hire me to make these fucking movies, these shit movies that they're writing better, let me know, because I'll definitely help them write better movie than this piece of nonsense. Anyway, on that note, I would give it a 1.2.
Okay, 1.2 for Eddie. Kyle,
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, you pretty much said everything. Now, the part that I found the most interesting was the relationship between Pete and Phil. If they would have introduced that a little bit sooner, I think this movie would have been a lot better. Just because that's where the main conflict was with everyone. It's like, okay, everyone had an issue with Pete, or at least Phil did. And then once they actually started to, or once Phil, I guess, was starting to groom him or whatever, then I guess it would have been at the point where Pete would have gone with Phil, or Pete would have killed Phil.
Mhm.
Because it's like you need to get so emotionally tied to both characters to where you're like, oh, well, what is he actually going to do? Is he going to, go along with Phil and go along with the whole Bronco Henry storyline, or is he going to just kill him off?
And I think you get there through editing. They needed to trim out like 30 minutes of this movie. A solid 30, 45 minutes of this movie could have taken a hike.
And maybe just
it wouldn't
add a
make
little bit
difference.
more of that excursion that they went off on. But
Yeah.
I don't know. But I think I'm going to give this a 2.9.
Okay, a 2.9 for Kyle. So that means that the Power of the Dog gets a 3.8.
Not bad.
So we need to
Not bad.
spin to see what the genre is going to be for next week. So that means that romance is off the table.
Hold on. real fast before you move on. So I was just checking out screenriot.net's / movie ratings, dash ratings, movie hyphen ratings. 3.8, you say, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it is in the neighborhood of John's other movie, Assassins.
Oh no.
Oh.
Which, oh man, thinking about like, do I want to watch The Power of the Dog or Assassins?
I'd watch Assassins all day. I'd watch
watch
Assassins. On
Assassins
repeat.
is a more fun movie.
That's what I mean. I'd watch it on repeat over and over again. And the other movie that it's scoring even with is Justin's first pick, Johnny Dangerously.
Oh hell yeah, Johnny Dangerously all day.
Oh yeah, I would much rather watch comedy puns than oh man.
All I can think is Johnny Dangerously and Assassins just back to back, just double feature, 24/7
on TBS.
Oh man,
Yes.
go ahead. Sorry,
John, you ready to spin the wheel?
Yep.
All right, you're up.
Okay, here we go.
Come on, wild card.
Oh god,
horror.
horror.
Yes,
Horror.
Oh man, watch me get it.
I know.
Who
That'd be
is
Kyle.
on the wheel
It's just me
today?
and Kyle.
It's
This
just
is
yeah.
Kyle and Eddie.
Oh great.
Yep.
I hope
think
I
it's gonna
get
be
it.
Kyle. Here comes the 1920 horror, guys. Everyone get ready for Nosferatu.
Ooh, for movies and ghosts and ghouls. Ooh.
You're afraid of the claw.
That's right.
All right, so you guys ready to duke it out?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, go ahead,
Okay.
John.
Here we go.
It's so sad when there's only two of us.
Oh,
Kyle.
Oh, it's Kyle.
Told you.
Okay.
Yep.
Fun times.
I'm so pissed. I had a good horror too.
All right, so I'm actually going to pick a horror movie from 1968 called Night of the Living Dead. So this movie is about a ragtag group of Pennsylvanians barricade themselves in an old farmhouse to remain safe from a horde of flesh-eating ghouls or zombies, whatever you like to call them, that are ravaging the east coast of the United States.
Yeah, so the classic zombie
Yes.
movie, right?
Classic. The OG.
The OG. Yep. All right, so thanks for watching. Join us here next week where we're going to be reviewing Night of the Living Dead, like Kyle said, the OG zombie movie. And make sure you hit the like button. That really helps us out if you enjoyed the show. And we'll see you next week.
See ya.
See you.
Later.